UFC 321 Aspinall vs. Gane goes down this Saturday in Abu Dhabi. Now, rather than break down that main event, which feels like a foregone conclusion at this point, I want to talk about the fight that is opening the main card. Aleksandar Rakic versus Azamat Murzakanov. For this fight, I'm going to be going with the Serbian, Aleksandar Rakic. Now, before anyone comments, Aleksandar Rakic was born in Austria. I'm well aware of this fact. But much like this Zastava AK, he is Serbian nonetheless. Now, jokes about Yugo pattern rifles or fighters aside, why am I going with Rakic? Well, let's break it down. This is a fight between two fighters in completely different stages of their career. On the one hand, you have Murzakanov, 15-0, undefeated in his career and in the UFC with 5 wins in the promotion, or 6 if you want to count Dana White's Contender Series. And you have Rakic, who's on a 3-fight losing streak. Aleksandar Rakic hasn't won a fight since 2021. His last 2 wins were against Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith, guys that aren't even in the UFC anymore. So on paper, this looks like a bad matchup for Rakic when you just look at their resumes. I mean, you would assume Murzakanov is the younger, up-and-coming contender, but in reality, Murzakanov's 36. Rakic is younger at 33. And the devil is really in the detail with these resumes. That 3-fight losing streak for Rakic was to Jan Blochowicz, Jiri Prochazka, and then Magomed Ankalaev. Now, I don't want to discount these losses like they don't matter. They certainly do. This is make or break for Rakic. He needs to win this fight. This is a big step down in competition for him, and if he gets knocked off by Azamat Murzakanov, he might be out of a job. But these weren't one-sided ass whoopings. The Jan Blochowicz fight was 1-1 going into the 3rd round on the judges' scorecards before Rakic got injured in the 3rd. He did great initially in his fight against Jiri before getting melted, something we've seen Jiri do time and time again to the guys at the top of this division. We just saw it against Roundtree, we saw it against Özdemir. And then you have the Magomed Ankalaev fight, where he lost a close decision, 2-1, where frankly, some better fight IQ decisions might have gotten him that W. On the flip side, Azamat has secured wins against the opponents put in front of him, so I don't want to criticize his level of competition, but it is fair to say this is a huge step up in competition. His best win is probably Dustin Jacoby. He also beat Alonzo Menifield. His last opponent, Brenson Ribeiro, is nowhere near the level of a Dustin Jacoby, and Dustin has struggled to stay in the top 15. He's right around the edge of the rankings usually, and I don't think he gets credit for being as good of a fighter as he is. But Rakic is another level of competitor from those guys. Azamat has been able to get the wins in these fights, but he has had to push through adversity, which I'll give him credit for. I'm just saying this isn't a Khamzat Chimaev buzzsawing through opponents. He struggled against Stefan and Chukwi in moments before finding that flying knee KO. And that's worth mentioning. This guy loves to throw a jumping knee. Well, Rakic is one of the biggest light heavyweights on the roster. He's like 6'5", and Azamat Murzakanov is 5'10". The size difference is concerning for anyone wanting to back Murzakanov. He's clearly got power in his hands, but is he going to be able to effectively deliver that to the chin of Rakic, who will have a 7-inch reach advantage? I think it's going to be very clear that Azamat Murzakanov is not a real light heavyweight. If anything, I give him credit for making it this far at 5'10" in the light heavyweight division. I've always given DC praise for this as well. It's crazy to fight at these weights as a guy who's 5'10". Azamat Murzakanov is a bloated middleweight, maybe a bloated welterweight, realistically. I'm 6'3" and I would never fight at 205. Now looking a bit deeper here, I think Rakic would be wise to take a all-in or all-out strategy into this fight, either keeping the fight at a kicking range where he can use his leg kicks and reach advantage against the much shorter Murzakanov, or taking it to the inside and implementing his grappling. I know Rakic is usually thought as a striker, but I think grappling could be an excellent path to victory in this fight, eating up time on the clock and wearing out Murzakanov, who has shown he can get tired in the 3rd round. For Murzakanov, the game plan is clear. Close the distance and fight in the phone booth. Azamat's hands are his best weapon, and this dude loves to throw flying knees. Now, I don't expect we'll see the 5'10" Murzakanov go upstairs with a knee on the nearly 6'5" Aleksandar Rakic, but the inside boxing game and some big shots over the top are likely how he will approach this fight, as that's pretty much been his game plan in his fight so far in the UFC. We've seen Murzakanov wrestle a little bit, mostly out of panic when tired, but I really think Rakic will surprise people with his grappling here. Murzakanov should not be a light heavyweight. I will stand by that whether he wins or loses this fight, and Rakic has clearly been working on his grappling lately. If you don't follow him on Instagram and you haven't watched his interviews, he's with a new team, and I suspect we will see a different Rakic in this fight than we have in his last 3. Like I said previously, this is a major step down in competition for Rakic. That's not to say Murzakanov is a jobber. I think he deserves an opportunity in the rankings. It's just a bit strange to see a guy go from Brenson Ribeiro all the way up to an Aleksandar Rakic fight. It's going to be too much too soon for Azamat Murzakanov, and Rakic will make his return to the winning column this Saturday. I think the momentum behind these fighters, or a lack of momentum for Rakic, really explains the odds here. You know, it wasn't that long ago he was a favorite over Prochazka. He was a favorite over Blochowicz. And now a few years later, he is a slight underdog against Azamat Murzakanov. I really like Rakic at these odds, so I snagged him at -103. I probably would go by decision if I was going to play a prop, but I'd rather just grab the money line at these odds. Rakic is not a great finisher. I think that's actually one of his problems in the light heavyweight division. He's shown that he has the skill set and the size to match a lot of these guys, but other than that head kick on Jimmy Manawa, he really doesn't seem to put guys out or put them down too often. This is one thing I don't love about Rakic from a gambling perspective. And the other thing I don't like about him as a bettor is that he seems to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I always say, if you find a fighter that seems to win even in fights that they shouldn't, like a Dricus du Plessis ignoring his most recent fight, that's a great guy to bet on. Someone who, in an even match, he gets the job done. When he seems to be losing, he finds a way to win. Rakic has seemed to find a way to lose in these recent fights, but again, who is he losing to? These are three of the most recent champions. Magomed Ankalaev just lost the belt. Jiri Prochazka is likely to fight for the belt again soon, and that was a prime Jan Blochowicz. So I think we're going to see Rakic right that ship and finally get back in the winning column against Murzakanov. Let me know what y'all think of this fight. Are you excited for this pay-per-view in general? As always, thanks for watching, and until next time.
Ko bunkere turske mrvi, to je odreć Čekovljana.